Hey, what's up? The Cabinet Vision guy here with a fun little trick about boring subfront holes. So I've got two cabinets here, a upper cabinet and a base cabinet. We're going to double click on the base cabinet and we're going to look here. You see I've got my drawer object, my drawer front. You see I've got my pull. It's a 4-inch C pull if I look around at that in 3D view. But importantly, you see here on my drawer box subfront, I've got the holes that bore right through. What we did with that is we manipulated the material of the drawer pull to add an additional operation so that when it touches something behind it, it fires off something else. Now we can see that if I go to my upper cabinet here, I did something just fun. I put a little panel behind it to show that it fires off here. If I go ahead and click on this panel and I move it back, so right now it's at 11 1/4, let's put it at 11, you can see those operations are gone because it's no longer touching the back of my door. And that is all contained within the pulls. So if I take this panel and I put it back at 11 1/4, well, it's not exact, let's go ahead and make it cab.dz minus dz. There we go. So now I've got it firing. If I look at it in 3D view, you'll see I have it set behind both of the pulls, so it's creating the holes on for both of those sets. Now this is just an example because we wouldn't use it like that, but you can see that if we have an object that we wanted to add operations in case something touches it, but if it doesn't touch it, like in this case, where we normally wouldn't have a panel behind there, we would want to fire off additional operations. So let's go ahead and take a look how I did that. It's really simple, and there's no actual UCS work and very little equations actually for this. So let's close out of this and say no to saving the job. And once again, we're going to go into our material manager. And I love this thing. With V9, when this was replaced, so much was done to this that it gave us so much flexibility and raw power, because now we're not having to run a UCS to do something like I just did, which can eat up a ton of resources. Rather, we can just have our material do it, and it all becomes more of a system thing, and Cabinet Vision can handle that a lot faster. So with that, I'll go to my pull group where I have my pull set up, and it's the test pull. And what we're going to do is we're just first going to take a look at this. So let's go to Properties, Advanced, and Model. And as you can see, there's no difference between the original pull and this one. That's because there's no piece on the back here, so I can't fire that off. But if we look here in the operations list, we can see I have these two subfront holes. As a matter of fact, just to get it, let's go ahead and look at this pulled up in my other monitor. Let's go ahead and look at the standard 4-inch C pull, which is what I used for that. You can see I've got mounting holes, which these are obviously master operations because it's got these mounting holes that I can't change, and they come directly from this. So let's go ahead and reselect. Oh, that went way off. So let's just close that, and we'll start off with the 4-inch C pull and create a copy of that. And we're going to call it another test pull, just because I don't want to have, I don't want to have the same name as this. And we're going to right click and go to Properties. We're going to go Advanced and Model. And what we need to do is we need to add the operations to the work plane. You'd think they'd want to go on the pull, but no, it's actually the work plane, which is what contains everything from the model to the holes and everything. You can add additional work planes and stuff like that, but luckily for our operations, what we just need to do is add the work plane we can just manipulate the work plane that's here. So we can go to, let's see. We can just select the primary work plane, right click on it, and select Edit. And you can see we get the operations as they show up. So we're going to go to the back because typically the pull is on the front, but we want these operations to be on the back of this work plane. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a hole and another hole. And it doesn't really matter where they are. We just want them to be here, and we want to be able to select them and change them from master no to master yes. All right, and now what we can do is we can just get out of here and look at the model again. And now we can, let's go ahead and change the view from 3D. We'll go to the right view. And you can see these massive holes that are being cut out now. So let's go ahead and change that or fix that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the back hole master. And what we want to do, we want to change it from, let's go ahead and give it a little bit better of a name. Let's call it underscore PLSF hole. So pull subfront hole. And then we will call this pull subfront hole. All right, so it shows up a little bit easier. We could even call this, we know it's right here. Let's call this pull subfront top hole. All right, and we will go ahead and start giving it some parameters. First, we want to locate it properly. We want it to actually match the hole here, that all these parameters here. So we can just actually just get these, look at these and what they need to be. So we can see the X, Y, and Z is 0, 2, 0. So we can go here and make this 0, 2, and leave that at 0. And you'll see that the hole, if I go back to my 3D view, is actually centered right behind that pull hole, which is exactly where we want it. So if we go back to the right, well, you know what, we can just leave it in 3D view, and we can watch these changes happen as we're doing it. And let's go back to our mount hole, and you see we need this to be 3/16, and DZ as an equation, and we're going to create our own equation for this. So we're going to go back to our top one. We're going to say the DX is 3/16. All right, you saw it got smaller. And the DZ, we're going to leave this at 3/4 of an inch. What we want to do is we want this operation, because we don't have a way of knowing what the part that it's touching is actually going to be, what the diameter of it is, or I'm sorry, the thickness of it. We just need to come up with what we need for a thickness. So if our materials for our drawer box subfront is 1/2 inch, we would make it, give it a DZ of 1/2 inch. That's why these actually have a an equation, because we know what the part that it's going to touch is, or at least we have a way of finding it. But with this we don't. So I'm going to leave it at 3/4 and make sure just 0.75 so that it's there. And now I'm going to adjust the Z value. So instead of having it at a value of 0 so that it's flush with this work plane, I'm actually going to offset it. And this is where I want to actually give it the equation. As a matter of fact, let's look at this. And we look at the equation here, and we can find out that it's going to parent DZ. And if we look at this object tree that's here, we can see that it's looking here, it's going to the parent, which is the primary work plane, and then it's going up one more level to the assembly, which is what the part is that it's touching. And then it's looking at the thickness of that. So we actually want this. We can go Control-C on our keyboard, go here, and we want to go into the Z position, and we want to do the same thing. So we're just going to Control-V that in there. We're going to test it, and we can unfortunately not see it, but you can see that the back of this is now black. If we look at the other one, it's not black. That's because there's no operation there. The operation is right there, and this big one is over here. So this is exactly the way we want it to be. So let's go ahead and edit this one down here, and we will go underscore PLSF hole, and we will call this pull sub front bottom hole. And we'll kind of do the same thing. We'll go 0, 2, actually we'll go -2 because we want it here at the bottom. And we'll go here to the z value, and we will give it an equation. We'll just copy or paste that right back in and hit OK. And you can see now it's there on the back, which is exactly what we want. We'll make sure that the dz is 0.75 and the dx is, instead of 2, we'll go 3/16. Now, of course, you can always change it to whatever you want the value to be. We could change it to imperial, or I'm sorry, metric, and then make it 5 millimeters. Whatever you really need to be. But basically, we're done here. This is finished, and we can actually add any more operations that we need. If we needed to cut a groove or do anything else, we could do that. If we wanted to add multiple work planes, to add other operations, to put stuff, say, like along here on the front of the door, whatever we needed to do to get it done. But for this video, we're basically done here. So we can kind of close this out. We're going to save our changes. We're going to return here. And remember, we've named this another test pull. So we're going to close this, and we're going to start a new job. Now we're going to go to our cabinet, and I'm going to go to my materials. Now my drawers are set at 1/2 inch, but remember I said the operation would be 3/4 of an inch. So let's change this to a 19 millimeter tandem, which is 3/4 of an inch. We're going to go to hardware, and I didn't assign this to a material schedule. Normally you would assign it to a material schedule, or it would already be created with this chrome 4-inch C pull, but we didn't do that. So let's go ahead and find our material, and we have here, I just typed in the search test, and here's another test pull. I'm going to drag it and drop it onto the pull category so that my door and drawer pull are both the same. You could also make it so that your, let's see, chrome 4-inch C pull is actually just here. And if we wanted to, we could go to test. We could say another test pull is only for my drawer pull, so that no matter what, your doors are never going to fire off those operations. It's really up to you on how you do that. I just thought it was spiffy that we could have it on both, and then if something touches the back of it, it would throw that operation on there. But we'll leave it like this. We'll close it and update job with changes, select yes, and then just hit OK. And now we will draw a wall. We'll grab a base cabinet, put it on that wall, and go here, and Bob's your uncle, we're done. There is our drawer box subfront. If I edit this, you can see I've got my pull holes. No UCS work, no anything. It's pretty much just drag and drop, click and simple, easy to do. As a matter of fact, if I sat here and I go to my pull, let's do this properly. Let's double click on the drawer box and go to pulls, and we'll give it a vertical offset of 1. And you see it moved it down 1 inch. And you'll notice my pull holes all moved with it because they're assigned to that pull. So this is a great way to get all of the operations where you need it to follow the parts you need and not really have to think about it too much. If you need changes, you can go into the material manager and make any changes. You don't have to worry about coding in a UCS or anything like that. So yeah, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to post them on our eSupport website, and have a good day.